Hi, I'm Midge Shoemaker, and today is day 4 of my doing 100 days of YouTube videos and focusing on facing the things that I've been avoiding in my life, or facing something that I'm avoiding in my life. So, um, today I was trying to figure out what things to face while I was avoiding, and I walked past a table in my living room that's covered in crap. Can't even tell that it's supposed to be a table. It's just buried under stuff. Anyway, I bumped something and it knocked a book on the floor. And I picked it up and the thought entered my mind, I need to work on that. I was like, yeah, that's not going to happen. Because I'm really good at avoiding things. And I realized tonight how much I avoid things. I was like, oh my gosh, I play on my phone so I can avoid feeling my feelings or doing something else like going to sleep or going to bed. I ramble in my videos to avoid going to bed or doing the next thing that I have to do. I take longer doing things to avoid doing the things that I need to get done. And I'm just like, oh my gosh. And then I don't do other things that I want to do because I'm trying to get myself to do the stuff that I've been avoiding. And then I get absolutely nothing done because I'm still not willing to do the stuff that I've been avoiding. And I was like, oh my gosh, my whole life is like this avoidance. Like every day, every little thing. Like, and I was like, oh my gosh, I'm avoiding making my dinner. I'm avoiding eating dinner. I was like, oh, avoiding everything today. And I didn't realize, I don't think I've paid that much attention to all the things that I've been avoiding until I'm like, I gotta make a video. So, yes, I'm still avoiding things. I will probably always at some point in my life avoid something because it's just kind of ingrained in me. But I did pick the book up and I ignored it at first intentionally. But then I was praying to be like, what do I need to do that in my video, like I share in my video of something I faced today that I've been avoiding. And that just popped into my head. And I was like, so not fair. So don't want to do that today. I spent about an hour and I did a little bit more crying. I might do a little bit more crying. So I apologize in advance. I know crying is a natural, normal thing and it's good for you, but I just struggle with the whole dealing with my emotions and crying and everything else, which is probably why I've never gotten through this book. This is a book, I don't know if you can see this. It's called Opening Our Hearts and Transforming Our Losses. It's an Al Anon book from Al Anon family groups. Um, so it's just something that I do. Anyway, I'm not gonna like share stuff out of it. I don't want to have any like copyright issues or anything else like that. It's just that's what I'm working on. Um, and there was just I had some triggers. I don't know what triggered me at work today, but a really old memory, probably from like high school, popped into my head. And I didn't know what to do with it. And of course, I felt like crying at work, which of course I didn't do because I couldn't do. And then I got home and I was like, it just, by that time I'd buried it and put it out of my mind. And then I'm doing this grief work. And of course, it pops right back up because it just went along with what this was talking about. And I was just like, so not fair. I told you I was probably going to cry again. Try not to. And I know I should try not to. I should just let myself cry. I would probably feel a lot better if I would do that. But the thing that I remembered is I remembered I had to have surgery on my wrist, and I was in high school, and I came out of the anesthetic, and I don't know, they'd put me in some kind of like it was a bed, but it was like sat up like a chair. So I kind of felt like I was sitting in a chair more than I was like in a hospital bed. And it was just kind of like a curtained off room. Like it wasn't even a room, basically. It was still like in post op or something. I don't really know. But they literally just like a curtain off place, like you would in the emergency room, where they just curtain off sections, and so you don't have your own private room or anything like that. Because I guess it was an outpatient surgery kind of a thing, and I was going to go home, and my biological mom, she wasn't there. I don't know where she went. She wasn't there. And when I asked, the nurse was like, well, I don't know. She's around here somewhere. I'm like, oh, I'm sure she'll come back, or oh, I'll go get her. And then she comes back with like ginger ale, and I I've gotten to the point where I can tolerate ginger ale now as an adult, and I know that it's good to help settle your stomach. But honestly, when you have the nasty taste of like anesthetic in your mouth after a surgery, and and they bring you that ginger ale and they want you to drink that. That stuff just is the worst thing possible. And drinking ginger ale, now I associate that with coming out of surgery because that's always what they bring me. I'm like, it's nasty. I'm like, I don't even like it. So I was just like, no. And then they won't let you drink anything else until you can drink some water or ice chips. So they ended up getting me like ice chips because I had to drink something before I could have something. And I can't leave until I can have like solid foods and keep it down or something like that. Just whatever after surgery protocols are. I don't know if they're the same now as they were back then, but that's what it was back then. And so anyway, I'm fighting with the nurse and refusing to drink this because I'm just like, well, what are you going to drink then? And I'm like, I just want some water then if I can. It's like, I wanted juice and they wouldn't let me have juice. They wouldn't let me have everything else. And I was like, well, then some water. So they got me some water. And then eventually my biological mom shows up and she was like, oh yeah, she speaks Spanish. So somebody needed an interpreter and she happened to be there. So she just started interpreting for them. And supposedly she told them to come get her when I came out of surgery, which they didn't do. And so I'm just left in limbo. But it gave me that feeling, that sense of like I wasn't important, like other people and other things were more important than me in my life. And there was something in this grief that I was reading in this grief book that was talking about how sometimes when we start succeeding in our lives and we start having good positive things happen, that it brings up all the times that we weren't allowed to have those things and we have to grieve all of those times. And I realized that maybe part of the reason I haven't been making my videos and I've been so depressed and discouraged is because I've just been grieving, because I finally published a book. I finally did something really good. But I just remember all the times that, like my sister needed to play the piano. My biological mom needed to go to her concerts and not mine because I was in band and she was in orchestra and she couldn't go to both. So she always picked my sister over mine. And all the times we had to go, like, we literally drove 5 hours to her college to support her in a concert she was doing. And she wasn't even expecting us to show up. She thought it was just a really nice surprise. And I went to college and it was 2 hours away. And I asked my mom to come to my concert and she couldn't come that weekend. She came another weekend, like that was going to make up for it. But it was like, I didn't have an event going on. I didn't have something for her to come support me in. And my biological mom has since passed away. And I don't get to show her my book that I've published. I don't get to say, look, I actually did something. But then I also have that sense or that feeling like I don't know if she would actually tell me that she was proud of me for that or that she would encourage me for doing that, because she didn't really encourage me. And when I did share stuff that I was interested in writing, it's like, well, that's just not a genre she liked to read. And she tried to read it, but she just wasn't interested in what my story was. And I was just like, okay. And Mom Shoemaker doesn't like the genre that I write in, but she read my book. And she told me that she didn't think she would like it because it's not a genre she likes to read, but she loved it and she wants to read the next book and she thinks I should be like a writer for a living. And so I'm grateful for Mom and Dad Shoemaker and for adopted parents that love me and give me that support that I didn't have when I was growing up. But this book just reminded me that I have to face those emotions and I have to grieve those losses, and that maybe my struggle with letting myself have success and making videos and publishing my book just kind of freaked me out, because I always felt like everyone else was more important, or that if I succeeded at something, it meant that somebody else failed and they were more important. So it wasn't okay for me to be good at anything. So the fact that I'm good at writing or the fact that I got a book published is amazing. But then it's like, oh, but that means I'm good at something. I'm not allowed to be good at something. So it's like that internal conflict, and this kind of doing this grief work tonight just kind of helped me to see that, to face those emotions and those feelings, and to realize that it wasn't that my biological mom didn't want me to succeed or that she wouldn't have been proud of me for publishing a book. It's just that she wasn't emotionally available for me. It was that we had completely different interests in life, that she was a single mom with 5 kids, and I seemed to be okay from the outside, and my other siblings did not. So she spent attention where it was most needed. Squeaky wheel gets the grease, and I didn't squeak enough, so I didn't get the grease. I didn't get the attention. So, and I'm grateful that I can have a different perspective as an adult and understand where she was coming from at the time. But I have to go back and remember that as a child, as a teenager, I didn't understand those things and it still hurt. And I learned false things from that. I learned that I wasn't important. I learned that my feelings didn't matter. I learned that other people were more important and that I wasn't allowed to succeed at things. And all of those things aren't true. And none of those things are things that I was actually told. That was just my interpretation based on how I was treated and based on how I saw other people being treated and feeling like I want what they have, but I keep getting told that I can't have it. So there must be something wrong with me. And I'm grateful to see that that's not necessarily the case. There's not something wrong with me. It just was a difficult situation, and I was just the one that got left out because I was the one that was supposedly okay, and I just didn't know how to express my emotions or feelings, and maybe my biological mom just couldn't deal with one more kid having problems and needing help. So she just told herself, as well as me, that I was okay and that it made it okay. And my ex did the same thing when he decided we should get married. He said it was okay because I have a good support system and I have my 12-step program and I'll be fine. And I was just like, what? And then I was doing this grief work and just, God just gave me this insight that maybe they saw some kind of strength in me and something about me that they just knew that I didn't see in myself, that I could get through this, that I had the strength and ability to come out on top regardless of what happened. And it never occurred to me that they saw that in me. I just interpreted it as there's something wrong with me or that I was unlovable. And I'm so grateful for the change in perspective from just writing about all of this, that maybe I had that strength in me. Maybe God gave that strength to me that I could overcome, that I could still come out okay, that everything is still okay. And also the reminder, the gentle reminder that God has never left me, that I have never truly been alone, and I am not unloved, that I am loved, and that I am lovable. And I'm very grateful for those little reminders today and to be willing to face this book, to read it, to face my feelings and my emotions and to write about them and to see things pop up, like that I have some internal strength that other people see in me that I haven't seen in myself, that I haven't felt like I've had, and yet here I am and I'm still going and I'm still doing, and I've published a book. And if I take the time to write and face my writing and do the process again, I could publish another one. It kind of freaks me out. I'm still in that place where I'm freaking out because I didn't think that I could or that I deserved to be able to do that. And I did it. And I was just like, I'm still waiting for that like repercussion where somebody's like going to say you can't do this or you did a bad job or all the bad negative stuff. And I'm like, it's just not coming. And I'm like, the only criticism I'm getting is from myself. And I'm like, I got to stop that. There's no reason for that. So I know it's not perfect and I know there's mistakes in it, but it was the best that I could do for my first book, and I know the next one will hopefully be better. And it's a learning process, but I'm so grateful for the love and support that I'm surrounded with now that I didn't feel like I had when I was growing up. And I'm grateful to see the contrast and to see how different my life can be, and that I don't have to keep holding on to the past and the hurt and the pain, and that I can have a different perspective and that I can grieve for what I didn't have, but I don't have to let that stop me from having something in the future. And so I'm very grateful that even though I didn't want to deal with my grief and my emotions today, that I chose to face that the thing that I was avoiding today, and that I didn't just bury it back down and pretend that memory didn't pop up. I don't know why it popped up. I don't know what triggered it. But I'm grateful that I was willing to deal with it today and face it today, even though I honestly really didn't want to. Especially since it means I'm doing a lot more crying and crying in my videos, which I also don't want to do, but I'm doing it anyway. So I am grateful for the things that I am learning. Day 4, facing the things that I'm avoiding. Oh, I know it's very freeing, but it is very hard to do. but I know that God is guiding me through this process. So there will be more. I've got 96 more days of things, and I'm sure there will be more after that because, like I said, I think avoidance is just a built in part of my life because I've just been doing it so much for everything that I don't even recognize that I'm doing it. So, this is just going to make me aware of what I am doing and hopefully help me to face more of the things that I've been avoiding, starting with the little things because they're hard and I don't want to get to the big things because they feel impossible right now, but I'm sure at some point they will become doable. Anyway, that's all I have for these videos. I hope you like them. If you like them, you can hit like, subscribe, share with someone else if you think they'll like it too. And if you have any similar stories or encouragements you'd like to share, please make some comments about it. And if not, that's okay too. And I hope you have a great day full of gratitude and maybe face something that you've been avoiding for a while and see if it doesn't help you feel better too.